No video.
What up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode number 131 of Siriani Says Sports, where, yes, we're on a Wednesday night because I've realized over the last couple of weeks, club really does go up on a Tuesday. So we're going to switch over to Wednesday nights to do the show from this point moving forward, and we're really excited about what the show brings on Wednesday nights. But anyways,
It's
I'm
also
Matt
a better.
Siriani, and
I think
my
it's also a better day too in the middle of football too.
yeah,
On
exactly.
Monday, games on Sunday, game tomorrow. Like I feel like Wednesday's good day. Good day. It's
Yeah,
also middle of the week, kind of a dead day for news and stuff. So it's all right.
Yeah, so Wednesdays work out pretty perfectly. Anyways, I'm Matt Sirianni. My New York Giants are terrible, and that's Ryan Barron Jr. His Jets are in a string of bad luck. How you doing, Ryan?
Um, for all my 21-year-olds out there, I mean, I'm sure you were all teeing off with me, drinking away your feelings yesterday. Um, obviously, want to know, right? Dub, but at what cost, right? Is the main question that every Jet fan's going to end up getting to. It's led to a lot of arguments today. It's led to a lot of media pressure today. I know myself, these last 2 days at school have been pretty rough. I know, just it's been bad. So, I mean, hey, anybody the Giants fan, Maddie, 0-1. Suck it.
Well, anyway, what we're gonna do is we're going to have to unfortunately discuss what happened on Monday night. If you weren't one of the 24 million people to watch Monday Night Football, which by the
I was
way,
there, baby. Let's go.
yeah. So for those of you who are unaware, 24 million people watch Monday Night Football, whether you were at the game, streaming on YouTube, Sunday Ticket, and other streaming platforms. 24 million people. That is, by the way, the most watched Monday Night Football game of all time, spanning back to 1970.
Oh, yeah.
So kind of amazing. But what wasn't amazing, what happened on the fourth play for the New York Jets. So for those of you who were unaware, you should be aware by now, Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles on the fourth play of the Jets' first offensive possession. His season is over, and unfortunately, for Jet fans who are not that optimistic, Zach Wilson will be taking the reins as the starting quarterback once again. And there are
Like,
people that are not really too excited about it. And also, head coach Robert Saleh said that the team is likely going to sign a quarterback to have an insurance policy for Zach Wilson, which I think is a smart idea. The options include the following: Matt Ryan, who currently works for CBS, but he could be worked out at any time; Cam Newton, Nick Foles, Carson Wentz, and a former New York Jet and Joe Flacco. The Jets ultimately got the win on opening day, 22-16 in overtime after rookie Xavier Gipson of Stephen F. Austin returned a kick 65 yards for a touchdown on a punt return. So there are a couple questions that we got to ask ourselves, and Ryan is the perfect person to answer these questions. So Ryan,
thank you.
first off, how you feeling?
Feeling good. I mean, 2 days removed now. Feeling better than I was. I mean, Monday at the stadium, it was electric. So, I mean, the way they did it at the game for a lot of you that weren't there, that were at home, I know during the halftime show, they're talking a lot about that they thought it was a high ankle sprain or that it could be his Achilles, right? But at the game, they played it off like an ankle injury the whole time. They were saying that he was questionable with an ankle injury. Then 10 minutes later, it's like he's out with an ankle injury. It's like, okay. So go through the whole game, stadium's still electric, everything, right? Like halftime was kind of dead. It was like they're not by like 13 at this point, but it's 13-3. But then when Xavier Gipson returned that return, the place got absolutely wild. And then to all of our fantastic moods, right, to damper. Oh, everybody's leaving the stadium. We're on the escalators, going down the stairs and everything. And then obviously Twitter and everything. And then there's the reports that say head coach Robert Saleh fears that Jets superstar quarterback Aaron Rodgers has ruptured his Achilles. And it's like, oh boy. And then yesterday, to everybody's delight, they confirmed it. So back to Zach. And I know my dad's been talking to me about it. He's been trying to like keep me level headed, but he's like, we got to root in Zach. This is Zach's team. Like, they are loaded, right? Like, they're a better team than they were last year. Even with Zach this year, they're still better.
Mm-hmm.
Defense is better. Brees Hall coming back, who, by the way, Maddie, is back. Just like 9 months after his ACL injury is back. Also, if he didn't have that ACL tear, he brings that run to the crib.
He would have.
21 miles an hour, 9 months off. That's just, that guy is unhuman. That guy's insane. Dalvin Cook, like, Garrett Wilson, literally all you got to do is throw the ball anywhere in his vicinity, it looks like, and he's going to catch it. So, like, I mean, this team is stacked, dude. And, like, as long as the O-line plays better, I think Laken Tomlinson needs to get sent to the moon instantly. George Fant's called blocks what got Aaron Rodgers hurt. But I think ultimately, Maddie, I talked to you about it yesterday. I know we're going to get into it, but I think the ultimate lesson that's going to be learned from the Jets' unfortunate circumstance with Aaron Rodgers is that artificial turf should not be used in these NFL stadiums. It just shouldn't be.
And the problem is Roger Goodell has been talked to about the artificial turf, and unfortunately, I don't know if he plans to, but you mentioned it before when we talked privately. You said
The
that
NFL also like pushed for it like the last 2 days.
they've been pushing for it, they've been trying to do it, but like you said before, you said when star players like Aaron Rodgers get hurt because of turf, then the NFL is going to be thinking to themselves, "Oh shoot, now what?"
That's what happens, and it's not just football; it's any sport, right? Like a lot of teams and organizations and the whole league turns a blind eye to a lot of things until it happens to a superstar, right? Like we saw, we saw it recently, right? In what was the most recent thing? It was it was like with quarterbacks too, with all the helmet to helmet stuff, like they ruled that all out, all that stuff, right?
Right.
Like just when big rule changes come into play, we just saw the overtime rules in the playoffs get changed, right? Because it affected a star quarterback and Josh Allen. It ruined one of the best playoff games, arguably of the last decade, right? Between the Bills and the Chiefs when Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes going back and forth, right?
Yeah.
And the Bills got robbed because the Chiefs won the kickoff because of the overtime rules. That got changed now for the playoffs. Because why? Because it happened to a star quarterback, right? Like if the grass is ever going to become in these stadiums, unfortunately, and unfortunately has to happen to us Jet fans, right? Of course, right? But this is just what has to happen. It has to happen to a star quarterback in a big city on national TV for something to change. And like honestly, dude, like from what Aaron Rodgers posted on Instagram today, Matt, I don't know if you saw it, but he seems like he's in good spirits. He didn't confirm that he's coming back, but he's definitely like, I don't know, he's kind of hinting at it a little bit that he may come back. So that's definitely a light at the end of the tunnel. But like, dude, like if this is what it takes to get it to grass, like as much as it hurts me inside, like so be it, because it's good for everybody.
Yeah, and I think the reason why the NFL hasn't done this is because you also got to realize when it comes to for turf, I don't know if you're aware of it, this in 2026 there will be the World Cup coming here for soccer, so they're probably not going to rule that. So that's probably why they're thinking, okay, we're not going to get rid of turf completely, because if you remember, soccer players, when it comes to turf, they benefit from it, but also it could also be a harm to football players. That's one of the reasons why it's kind of iffy, because if soccer players benefit from turf, and they're getting all the benefits that they want and everything that they deserve because the World Cup's coming here in a couple of years, then football players deserve some sort of respect. And like I said, Aaron Rodgers getting hurt was downfall.
Here's my argument, my argument against that, right? So the World Cup's in 2026, Matty. That is in 3 years' time, right? And if you're the football teams, why the hell do you care about the World Cup? The World Cup is not your sport. Your sport is football, and you should care about the players in your league and for your league entirely as a whole, right? You shouldn't. If I was an owner, right, and they're telling me, right, like let's just say I'm pushing for grass, right, and your Roger's gonna be like, if you told me as an owner, be like, no, we want to stick to turf because the World Cup is coming here in 2026. I'd be like, Roger, are you I'd be like, are you serious? Like, are you dead serious? Like your influence on your decision is from a sport that's not even under our branch from a World Cup. I'm like, that's in 3 years? Like, come on. Like, the amount of money that the NFL has, the amount of money that the sports teams have, like,
yeah,
you can't just put turf in for 3 months. Like, come on. The Jets and Giants, they just changed the turf on MetLife Stadium over the offseason. It's not that hard. You just lay down turf. Yeah, getting the grass back to growing is annoying, but again, the NFL has millions and millions of dollars, and I don't want to hear from Roger Goodell or any of these other NFL teams that grass is more expensive and it's more the whole. You are paying NFL players millions of dollars. Joe Burrow is getting paid $55 million a year.
That's right.
Like guys like Tyreek Hill are getting paid $25 million a year. Don't you think NFL that it's an investment to protect these guys and keep them on the field? Because let's just say, right, Joe Burrow goes down for the Bengals. Who cares about the Bengals? Nobody goes to their game, so the Bengals aren't going to make as much money as they would have because their star quarterback went down because of something that is way less cost efficient, right, than your $50 million quarterback in Joe Burrow, right? Like, sure, is it more expensive than turf? Of course, because turf, you don't got to water it every day. Like, it's easier to maintain, right? 100%, right? But it doesn't cost $3 million a week to maintain grad. Like, come on. Like, anybody met that has a house, that has land, that mows, like, it's not hard. Granted, mowing an NFL stadium is more annoying, but again, that's why they had the drivable. Like, don't be giving me this. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear that it's cost. That's the one thing the NFL cannot come out to the fans and just the public and be like, cost is our issue. Don't give me that. Nobody wants to hear it.
Well, I guess screw the World Cup for that matter. Really.
It's in 3 years, man. It's not hard to move grass, and it's not gonna be in every stadium. Sure, MetLife's gonna have it, right? But like, how hard is it, Maddie, to put turf over? It's not hard.
No.
Not hard. They got MetLife Stadium ready for the Jets Giants games in 24 hours. Did they get the whole stadium ready in 24 hours? You're telling me they can't put artificial turf in like a week? Come on. It's not that hard.
It isn't that hard. And you were right. The Jets and Giants played consecutive primetime games on week 1. And it was kind of amazing the transition. If you saw like what happened and what the grounds crew had to do to prepare for that for
Because that's
both
what it
games.
is. It's not even like it's because now they changed the midfield too. So now it's the logo. It's not like it's the NFL thing anymore. So they don't even. So they actually have to change it from Giants to Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they're able to do that, like I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear.
Okay. Ultimately, I have another question for you.
What?
After what happened on Monday night, are the Jets Super Bowl chances dead?
Super Bowl chances, yes. Playoff contention, no. I'll say that because we've seen teams, Matt, we've seen teams like the Jets, the San Francisco 49ers, for example, when they went all the way to the Super Bowl. And I'm not saying before anybody starts ripping on me, the Jets are the 20, what were they, 19 or 20,
2019.
They're not the 2019 San Francisco 49ers. That team was even better than the Jets. They had arguably the best defensive line, like, in the last, 5 years. Right, Nick Bosa, DeForest Buckner, D Ford, Eric Rowe, like they were stacked. Right, but the thing is, their offense was better too. Like, yeah, the Jets have Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook, right? But the thing is they also had Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, right? Like, they had arguably like the best receiver and best tight end in the league at that point. And then I'm not saying that Zach Wilson's Jimmy G. He's not Jimmy G yet. But the thing is all Zach has to do is play like Jimmy G. With Breece, with Dalvin Cook, with Garrett Wilson, with Allen Lazard, right? He doesn't have to be Aaron Rodgers for them to make the playoffs in this division, because we just saw what the Jets defense did to the almighty fraudulent Buffalo Bills. Fraudulent, by the way. The Bills should be ashamed of themselves. They lost to Zach Wilson again.
Yeah.
And the last 3 times Josh Allen has played the Jets, he's had literally 12 turnovers. It's been awful. So I don't want to hear anything about the Jets can't be good. They beat a playoff team last year that won their division and won a first-round matchup. So I don't want to hear it that the Jets defense is not. The Jets defense is top 5 in the league, right, Matt? And if Bill Belichick, Matt, has taught us anything, right, over his 50-year career as a coach, right, is what works. Defense and running the ball. Is it an ugly way to win? Yeah, the Jets are going to win a lot of games like 16-13, like 2017, right? But the thing is, Maddie, you don't have to win games like the Dolphins do against the Chargers and score 45 points and beat them by 45-42, right?
Mm.
At the end of the day, the Jets win 13-10, right? And the Dolphins win 24-10, right? They both win, right? Who cares, right? And I know it's 2023, right? And the league is geared to passing, but I think that might also play into the Jets' favor a little bit, because a lot of teams are going to come at me like, what the hell? They just run teams are not going to be prepared for Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall every play to just start slamming it every play. Right. And if the Jets defense can consistently, like they did on Monday, which is a big ask, force turnovers, because they're not going to force 4 turnovers every week. It's just not going to happen. Right. But if you can get 1 a week, maybe 2, right? And Zach Wilson plays not hero ball, but he just plays average game manager quarterback, doesn't turn the football over, the Jets are going to be in every game. As long as Zach Wilson does not turn the ball over once, twice, this defense and this team is going to be good enough to keep them in every game. Are they beating the Chiefs with Zach Wilson? Probably not. They beating Eagles is that close? Probably not. Are they beating Dallas this weekend? Probably not. But they're going to be in a lot of games. Like, do I think that the Dolphins are going to blow them out? No. Do I think that the Bills will blow them out? No. Do I think the Patriots are going to blow them out? No. Like, I think they should handle the chart. Like, they're going to be in games really outside of like the Eagles, like the Chiefs and Dallas this week. I think they'll be in like every game because of those two things that they have going for them. As long as Zach does not have 3 turnovers.
Let me just say this because I mentioned this in a Discord that I'm in, and I gotta tell you, there are 4 instances where there were less than stellar quarterback teams that won the Super Bowl. The 85 Bears had an amazing defense, the 46 defense. They had the 2000 Ravens, who won the Super Bowl with Trent freaking Dilfer. You had the 02 Buccaneers, where they scored more defensive touchdowns than any other team in NFL history. That they won with Brad Johnson. And then Russell Wilson as a second-year quarterback, the Legion of Boom defense in 2013. They had Marshawn Lynch, their running back, and they had the amazing secondary. I know the NFL is geared towards passing, and I know defense wins championships is not the motto anymore, where it's like you need to have an elite quarterback. But I'm going to try to be optimistic to Jet fans because I pity Jet fans all across the world right now. The way your defense played against Josh Allen, the way you ran the football, if Zach Wilson, like Ryan said, does not screw up as much as he did over the last 2 seasons, the Jets have a chance. And the reason why I'm saying this right now, go ahead.
Can I also say something else? So we remember Mac Jones' rookie year as the New England Patriots. Did Mac Jones light it up?
No.
Did they make the playoffs?
Yeah, they did.
They played Bill Belichick football, ran the ball, and Ramondre Stevenson played defense. Right? The Pittsburgh Steelers over the last couple of years. Kenny Pickett last year. Is Kenny Pickett lighting it up? No. Defense, ran the ball, right? Like, it happens, right? Like you said. But also, to your other point, right, when you say they don't have, like, a dominant court, like, that it's geared to passing, it's not like the Jets' wide receiver core is awful. I mean, Garrett Wilson is a top 10 receiver in football. Like, and I think he showed it Monday night, and I think over the last year, he's the offensive rookie of the year, for God's sake. Like, I think he has shown these a top 10 receiver, so it's not like the Jets just can't pass the ball. They can. It's just more of, like, does Zach Wilson trust himself to sling it in there?
He had a really good throw to Garrett Wilson for the touchdown late in the 4th quarter. I mean, that was an amazing score. But again, like, if Jim McMahon, Trent Dilfer, Brad Johnson, and a young Russell Wilson can win the Super Bowl with elite defenses and running game, the Jets have a chance. And I also want to say this. This is the big year for Zach Wilson. You want to know why? Because I want to see how much he learned from Aaron Rodgers in training camp in the offseason. That's what it really comes down to. If Zach Wilson cannot show that he progressed over the last few months that he had with Aaron Rodgers as his mentor, goodbye.
Also, I'm also under the camp that I know a lot of Jet fans have differing opinions on it. I do think Aaron Rodgers, once he is healed and not healed, like not next year, right? I'm saying like maybe like a week, 2 weeks, right? Like where he's able to like move around, right? Like on crutches or whatever, right? I do believe Aaron Rodgers will be on that sideline.
Yeah.
I think for Zach Wilson, right? As much as it's not learning directly from Aaron, right? Like watching him on the field, it's going to be helpful, right? If Zach does like a pick or something, to go sit on that bench and sit next to Aaron Rodgers, be like, okay, Aaron, like, what did I do? And Aaron's like, okay, you did this. And like, right? He's going to have essentially a $50 million quarterback coach, right? It puts a lot less pressure on Nathaniel Hackett as well, instead of trying to coach Zach Wilson during the game, to also be able to be like, okay, like let me game plan for what we're doing next on offense, and be like, okay, like let Aaron really coach up Zach in that perspective. And I think if Aaron does that, that's also going to be very beneficial to Zach as well. Because let's face it, last year, who was coaching him? Mike LaFleur wasn't coaching him. The Jets had nobody to coach Zach Wilson. Mm-hmm. And even Aaron Rodgers on one leg, you can't take away what's upstairs. As much as he might be a nutball, right? Which he is. Aaron Rodgers, he's a weird dude, right? One thing we can all say is he knows football at a very high level. And if you can pick that brain of his, it's gonna help. It's gonna help.
It will go in the long run. Now, back to a question that I alluded to earlier for you. As far as backup quarterback is concerned for Zach Wilson, what do you do? Who do you sign?
So I mean, the way the Jets and Salah have been talking over the last like couple of days, it seems like they don't want to get anybody that's gonna take Zach's job, right? Like they've been kind of preaching like this. It's Zach's team. They're gonna ride with Zach and that, right? So I don't think that Carson Wentz, right, or Matt Ryan, like I don't even know if they get Matt Ryan. Like I think Matt Ryan would be okay. I don't think they're training for Matt Stafford. I don't think they're training for Jameis Winston. I don't think they're signing Carson Wentz. Right? I don't think it's any of that. I do believe it's going to be a veteran probably. And what veteran that is, I have no idea. But I do feel like it's going to be somebody who's like a Tim Boyle type of quarterback, right? Like obviously going to be better than Tim Boyle, right? But it's not going to be a guy breathing down Zach's neck where Zach screws up and it's like we call for the like. It's not going to be a Mike White situation because remember that's what ruined the Jets last year. Is the team gave up on Zach and rallied around Mike White. Granted, it was Zach's own fault because he basically outed the defense, saying that they could have done more. We did like whatever, right? He
Yeah.
said or whatever, stupid, right? But the Jets don't want that again because division in the locker room is not good, right? And if they bring in a veteran, right, that's not gonna pressure Zach or show like, oh, I want to start instead, right? I think the team's gonna rally around him. So I don't know who it's gonna be. It might be a vet, like apparently, like they're saying maybe Nick Foles, like if they get Nick Foles, right? Is the team really be like, I want Nick? No, nobody's gonna say I want Nick Foles starting over. Like it's not gonna happen, right? Like I don't know who it's gonna be. I hope it's not Joe Flacco because I cannot watch Joe Flacco ever play football again. No offense to you, Joe Flacco, you're gonna be in the Hall of Fame, right? But like I can't watch you play football again. It's just I can't. So I'm under the assumption it's probably gonna be Nick Foles, but we're gonna have to see.
I like Nick Foles the best because Nick Foles is a former Super Bowl MVP. He's not the most consistent guy. He can really give tutelage to Zach Wilson and not breathe down his neck, like you said. So I like the Nick Foles pick a lot more because if Matt Ryan comes in, people are going to say, oh, we want Matt Ryan. If Cam Newton comes in, they're going to say, oh, Cam's explosive. Let's try and get him, even though Cam Newton is washed up. If they get a guy like Carson Wentz, who actually played pretty good football last year and the year before that, there'll be some division in the locker room. So I agree with you. I think Nick Foles is probably the answer. But I will say this though: Tom Brady confirmed he's not coming out of retirement. I just want to
Well,
get
yeah.
that out of the way.
Yes. Yes.
So that's all I gotta say. But I want to get to the other side of the spectrum for the Jets game really quick. What in the blue hell happened to Josh Allen?
Bro, I heard Josh Allen. I'm telling you, bro. Like Josh Allen cannot play against the Jets. He can't do it. I don't know what it is, but you saw his press conference. He said same nonsense, different day, right? Like this has now been 3 games in a row for Josh Allen where he has completely crumbled from the Jets. Is it the pass rush? From what I know, from what Bills fans say, right? Because I actually know some Bills fans, right, that I'm friends with. And what they say is the way to get to Josh Allen is you have to make him play hero ball. Because that's when the mistakes come. That's when the turnovers come. I'm still under the impression, Maddie. I know we've talked about it. You've heard my dad talk about it.
Yeah.
Josh Allen misses Brian Dable a lot. What was
Mm,
the one thing? What is Brian Dable's focus point? Turnovers
right.
and limiting them. What did he do to Daniel Jones? Daniel Jones was the most not injury prone, jeez, turnover prone quarterback I ever seen. You saw the
Yeah.
graphics on Sunday night. What do you have, like 50 turnovers the first like 3 years?
Yeah. He had 50 turnovers the first 3 years, and then he was limited to I think 5 or 6,
I think it was 9.
9 turnovers total last year.
So, like, Brian Dable's focus is turnovers, right? And that was what made Josh Allen good those first years. Last year and now this year, we're seeing those dumb, boneheaded plays from Josh Allen, right? Where I think he relies on himself. Like, yeah, Josh Allen probably has one of the best arms in the NFL, right? It's like him, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, right? Like, those are like probably the 3 you think of, right? Where I think he probably relies on his arm strength a little too much and kind of makes some bad decisions sometimes, right? Where I think now without Dable, right, I don't think that that's being coached out of him as much as it was with Dable, where he was harping on. He's like, okay, like safe throw, safe to like you can still air it out, right, but the turnovers, right, and that at the end of the day is what's going to lose teams games, right? Because we said about the Giants, right? What is the easiest way to make a bad team into a respectable team? Winning the turnover battle. If you win the
Yes.
turnover battle, you can win really most games in the NFL. Like if you do not turn the ball over, your percentage of winning the game is instantly higher,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's what Brian Dable did to a Giants team, right? That really didn't add much to his first year last year. Remember, like the Giants didn't add much, right?
No.
They just limited the turnovers and they were just instantly just respectable, right? Obviously, the Giants overachieved last year, right? But they were respectable because they limited the turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we see in Josh Allen. That's what's reared its ugly head. It was a problem with him at Wyoming. It was a problem with him his first year that he corrected it in the last 2, right? Now the last 2 since Dabo left, it's reared its ugly head again.
It's kind of amazing because Josh Allen. I called the game with Laurel on a separate platform, the Monday night game. And he had 2 throws that were deep there was safety help over the top with Jordan Whitehead, and he just overshot Stephon Diggs those 2 times. And then on a throw to the right side,
That one was the
Whitehead
worst.
baited him in.
That was the worst one. That was the
That was
worst
the worst one.
because the other two you can say, okay, they were arm punts, right? Or like even on there, right? What a lot of quarterbacks do too is they'll try to throw PI, like they'll try and draw PIs where they just air it out and like hope their receiver gets. Especially with Diggs, it's like Diggs is an elite receiver who's good at drawing pass interference calls. Like there's receivers that are good at that, right? Like I get it. Him, Gabe Davis, they're good at that. But the third one, right? You cannot throw that football. You can't do it. You can't stare down Diggs and just let Jordan Whitehead look at your. You can't make that throw. Am I happy he made it? Hell yeah, but like with Josh Allen, as much money as he's making, right, as highly touted as a lot of people like consider him to be, you can't make that throw. You just can't do it. You can't make that decision, and that's something that would not happen under Brian Daboll. I would promise you that.
Yeah, Brian Dable would probably yell at Josh Allen if a decision like that was made.
He would do what he did to Daniel Jones. He would light him up.
Yeah, big time.
Light him up.
All right. So bottom line is the Buffalo Bills got the Las Vegas Raiders next. Bills are a 9.5-point favorite. The New York Jets got the Dallas Cowboys next week. I'm going to get into the Dallas Cowboys New York Jets game in a little bit when we make our new and improved version of picks based on the spread. But we got our week 1 highlights. So here's how this is going to go. We're each going to pick our week 1 surprise, our week 1 disappointment, and our week 1 standout. I'm going to go first, and then I have to give a reason why. So my week 1 surprise this week, well, it really wasn't a surprise, because I had faith later on in the week. The Detroit Lions. They came into Arrowhead Stadium, one of the most volatile and violent atmospheres in the NFL, and beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know people are going to say, yeah, but the Chiefs didn't have Travis Kelce. I don't care. Patrick Mahomes looked uncomfortable against that Lions defense. He was pressured through a lot. The pick six, I mean, Kadarius Toney had a case of the drop scene, apparently. I don't know what was going on to him. He was so frustrated, he deleted his social media accounts. But again, Jared Goff got back into consistent football. I know the Chiefs didn't have Chris Jones on the defensive side, but the Lions running game was elite. They came in there, pulled off the upset. Given the circumstances, they smelt blood, and they took advantage of it. That's why the Detroit Lions are my surprise of the week. Ryan, who's your surprise?
So I'm gonna go a little bit different than you, Maddie, right? But I feel like for me, it's got to be the Cleveland Browns, right? And it's been a known thing, right? For any of you that have done your research, right? The Browns have owned the Bengals recently in their recent matches, especially week 1, right? And I'm not gonna pick the Bengals for my biggest disappointment because like it was raining, it was all this, right? Like, yeah, the Joe Burrow have his worst performance he's ever had since he entered the NFL. Sure, right? But like for any quarterback, it's hard to throw in the wind and the rain. It's just difficult, right? It's week 1. Joe Burrow didn't play the whole preseason. He was hurt like the whole summer, basically. Just came back, was shaking up through us. Am I worried? Not at all. But you still got to give credit to the Browns, especially that defense. They held the Bengals to 3 points. Joe Burrow had 60 yards passing. Like
82.
Yeah, like I don't care. Like if you're holding a quarterback to that standard, under 100 yards, in this modern NFL, where literally teams just pass the ball all day. Tua Tagovailoa had 480 yards, right? Like just let that sink in. Joe Burrow had 80. Like in a league where quarterbacks do that, like Tua is not that good, right? You've heard my spiel. I don't think Tua is that good, right?
Whatever. I've heard your Tua rants. I've heard them.
I know people here have heard it too, right? Whatever, right? But like, just think about that. Tua threw for 500 yards in this NFL. It's not hard for quarterbacks to throw for that. Think about this every year, Matty. Quarterbacks throw for now for 4,500 yards like it's nothing. Like it's nothing. Back then, quarterbacks barely scratched 3,000. Right? So like to hold a quarterback under 100 yards now is insane. And you got to give the defense of the Browns a lot of credit. I mean, Myles Garrett was all over the place. And Maddie, it's only week 1, right? But it looks like Deshaun might be back. And if Deshaun is back, that might be a scary thing for the AFC North.
It would be a scary thing for the AFC North. He played really well towards the end of the game. All right, so now your biggest disappointment. I'm going to go to you on this one first. Who's your biggest disappointment? You said it wasn't going to be the Bengals, but who is it?
So it's going to end up being the Minnesota Vikings. Because the Vikings, right? I know a lot of people, right? Everybody wants to hype up the Vikings, right? I called it from the beginning, Maddie. You've known this. I said this is the Detroit Lions division to lose. I was never on the Vikings bandwagon. I never thought that, like, I never thought Kirk Cousins was that good. First off, right? Obviously, Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in football, and it's not close, right? Justin Jefferson puts up 150 yards with his eyes closed, right? Like, it's actually unbelievable, right? But like, the Vikings cannot be talked about as an elite team if you are losing to the Tampa Bay Bucks, who are in prime tank for Caleb mode. Like, I don't want to hear it. Like, you don't just roll with Baker Mayfield as your quarterback and think you're going anywhere. Like, I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. We heard that Mike Evans was on the trade block. We heard Chris Godwin may be moved. Like, we heard the Bucks are willing to let some pieces go. Right? And for the Minnesota Vikings to be all as hyped as they were, get exposed by the Giants last year because that defense is not good. They are not good at all. Right? And Kirk Cousins, you score 17 points on the Bucks. Come on. If you were this high-powered offense with Justin Jefferson, Alexander Madison, Jordan Addison, right? Like, you got to score more than 17 points on the Tampa Bay Bucks. And sure, is it week one? Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be much of a – I don't think they're going to get much better than this. Let me just say that. I don't think the Vikings are going to be as good as people think that they are going to be. I still think the Lions are going to win the division, but I just think the Vikings, for me, weren't my biggest disappointment, but I think for a lot of the league, they were a disappointment. But I feel like they kind of put themselves where a lot of us thought they'd be because, I mean, outside of the Giants, Maddie, how many one-score games did they win last year? Like 9?
11.
They went like that. That's just unheard of, right? Like, they're not winning 11. They're not winning 11 one-score games this year. They already lost 1. It just doesn't happen. That's also why I think the Giants are going to be a little bit worse than they are because teams just don't do that. Teams just don't win 10 one-point game, like one-score games it just doesn't happen. No. So I think I think the Vikings were disappointed to a lot of NFL, but I think they showed their true colors.
All right, I know you said you were going to go the Cincinnati Bengals as your biggest disappointment, but I am going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals as my disappointment. The reason why is because Joe Burrow just got paid $275 million, $55 million a year. The Bengals offense was just completely out of sync, and I get it. A lot of their starters did not play in the preseason, and it kind of showed because they were so flat offensively. And I know it's the Cleveland Browns in-state rivalry, division rivalry, but you lose a game to your division opponent early on in the AFC is huge because now there's going to be questions about whether Joe Burrow is truly healthy, whether or not the calf was kind of affected. I mean, he looked flat. I mean, the Bengals just came out and they looked flat. And it wasn't pretty. They couldn't get anything going. T. Higgins was targeted 8 times and had no catches. That's how good the Browns defense was on Sunday. And ultimately, the defense, again, just floundered again. So, I don't know. I'm really disappointed in the Cincinnati Bengals. I expected better from them coming off of this. And Big D actually smiling right now because he picked the Browns to win that game and he picked the spread. But I am going to say the Cincinnati Bengals just shocked me for how bad they played. Now, for the standouts of week 1, I'm not even going to say mine first, but I'm going to let you say yours first.
You're going to say team or player?
Player or team, whatever.
So, I kind of want to go player, but I'm not gonna go player, but I'm gonna go team, right? And I think my standout team, Maddie, as much as I hate to say it, it's got to be the Miami Dolphins, right? Because, right, like we talked about it, right? I don't like my whatever, right? You gotta respect that they went into LA and dropped 40 points on the Chargers. Like, granted, is the Chargers defense that good? I thought they'd be better than they were because with Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Asante Samuel Jr., Derwin James, J.C. Jackson, like, those are big names. Like, they should be a lot better than they are. And for Tyree to literally walk in there, had 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, right? And Tua to throw for 480 yards. Week 1, that just doesn't happen, right? And, like, I think the Dolphins, right, they got a lot of hate this year, right? They also have a lot of hype, right? They got Jalen Ramsey. They got Vic Fangio, right? Like, they're a talked about team, right? Like, there was them, the Jets, the Bills are all going to compete for the AFC East, right? And I think when you say statement game, Matt, I think they put a statement game up. They said, listen, we're still here, right? Like, the Jets got a lot of hype, right? And well deserved and well warranted, right? Because of Aaron Rodgers, right? But I think the Dolphins were sitting there like, okay, like, listen, boys, we're still here. We're still good, and we're still ready. We're still a force to be reckoned with. So I'm going to pick the Dolphins.
And then, as much as it pains me to say this, I don't want to say it because it's
Dallas
so.
Cowboys,
I have to
baby.
go with the Dallas Cowboys as my standout. 7 sacks on Daniel Jones, 2 non-offensive touchdowns to begin the game.
Micah
Just
Parsons.
a Micah Parsons just is a nightmare to block. Evan Neal looked like a child. Andrew Thomas, 2 false starts. But again, that defense is just nasty. Dan Quinn has got to be the top defensive coordinator in all of football right now. And it's not even close. Because the personnel that they have, and the thing is, Dak didn't play well at all, and they still kicked the Giants' ass on the road.
Yeah.
But that just tells you everything you need to know. And the Cowboys were the only team to put up a 0 on the scoreboard for their opponent this week. So it really does show just how capable this Dallas Cowboys team is. And I'm not going to say they're Super Bowl bound because I don't want to be the part of the media who say, how about them Cowboys? But I will say this. They kicked the Giants' ass. Pretty good. And, props to them. They know how to beat the Giants. And, when their quarterback doesn't do well, they have a great defensive running game, and there's nothing much you can say other than give themselves a handshake and say, "Congrats, nice job. I hate you." But anyway, those are our week 1 highlights. Now it's time for the new version of Picks Based on the Spread. This is sponsored by DraftKings. If you have a gambling addiction, please seek help.
1-800 Gambler.
So the way this is going to work.
Yes.
Yeah. So the way this is going to work is we're going to pick 3 bets that we like across the NFL for week 2. And then we're also going to highlight 1 bet that we don't like. So to highlight that, 3 picks that we like, 1 that we don't. And it has to be an under and over or spread. It could be either one of those 2. Or if you just simply like betting odds, that's good too. So this is all based on DraftKings. So Ryan, I know you're the bigger gambler than I am, so I'm gonna let you go first. Who are your 3 bets that you like this week?
I'm gonna pull my bets on. You're gonna give me a second.
And if you're wondering what I use to pick my bets, I use Yahoo Sports. The
I
Yahoo
use
Sports app.
I use my pick'em league.
Use your
That's what I
pick'em
use.
league. Ooh,
Huh?
okay. Use your
The thing
pick'em
I'm
league.
always the thing I'm always in. Yes, the thing I am always in.
Okay.
So the first bet that I like is the Buffalo Bills against the Las Vegas Raiders. I am slamming the Bills because if the Bills do not beat the Vegas Raiders by minimum double digits, that'll be disappointing. Because again, the high and mighty Bills, right? They should beat this team by a lot. Right? So that's one of my locks. Another one of my locks, the New York Giants, -5.5. If they
Please.
keep the Cardinals by a touchdown, the season might be over now.
Okay.
Like, I know it's early week 2, talking about the season. If they can't beat the Arizona Cardinals by a touchdown, there's something wrong. There
Yeah,
really
that's
is.
a problem.
Right? And then my third game that I actually really like is going to be an under. It is going to be the Cleveland Browns versus the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday Night Football. And if you guys are questioning why I do the under, because those games are always the line is 38.5, right? These are 2 defensive dominant teams. Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick, Denzel Wood. Both offenses don't look good. I mean, Nick Chubb and Najee Harris are good, right? But Deshaun still may not be back. I think he might be back. Kenny Pickett, very right? And I feel like a 38.5 is still a low spread, right? Don't get me wrong, right? But I don't see a way where this is like a 2020. I don't. I think it's gonna be well, this is gonna be this is gonna be an ugly game to watch. It's gonna be very, very AFC North ugly game style.
All right. That sounds good. So for those of you who are wondering, yes, the Steelers
there's
Browns under and over is 38.5. And then for the Bills Raider game, Bills are favored by 9.5 points. And then for the other game that you selected the Giants and Cardinals. Giants are favored by 5.5. So you said the Giants should beat the Cardinals by a touchdown.
Spread I don't like.
What do you not like this week?
It's tough. Like the spread, the glaring spread to me, right? That stands out to me, right? Like a sore thumb.
Mm-hmm.
right, is how the Chiefs are favored in Jacksonville by 2.5.
Mm.
Like, I know that's such a weird spread, right? But like I understand it's Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, right? But like the Jags look better than them. I don't know how going into I don't know. I wouldn't touch that game if I was a better, right? That's not a game I would touch. Another game that I would touch though is I would touch the Saints on Monday night as well. I know that spread, so that spread is 2.5 over the Carolina Panthers. That defense against Bryce Young, oh good lord, good luck. That's
Good luck.
another one.
Good luck. Okay, now for the three bets that I am going to touch. The first bet I'm going to touch actually is the Packers minus 1.5 over the Atlanta Falcons. And if those of you who watched the previous episode of Siriani Sports, I did pick the Packers plus 1.5 over the Bears. If you picked that game, you better praise me because I was right about the Packers all along. The Bears are fake. And I know the Packers own the Bears. That's how it's been for years. So I was right about that. Also, Jordan Love might not have Christian Watson in this game, depending on how things go. And I know this Atlanta Falcons team are coming off a big win at home against the Panthers, against a rookie quarterback. This is completely different. Jordan Love is the competent, and the Packers have a competent offense that can beat the Falcons defense by at least a field goal. So that's why I'm going to say the Packers minus 1.5 over Atlanta. That's the bet I'm picking. My second bet that I'm picking, and this is going to kill you, Ryan. I got the Jets Cowboys under 39.5. And the reason why is because you got two elite defenses going at each other. You got Zach Wilson on one side, and you got overrated Dak Prescott on another side. So, I mean, both teams are going to run the football, but that just consumes clock. So they're not going to score a bunch of points by running the football. So I like under 39.5 points for both these teams. The Cowboys were lucky to put up 40 against the Giants, even though the Giants were not as good as by the Cowboys in the long shot. But the Jets have a better defense. And I think the Jets are going to have a hard time scoring against this Cowboys defense. I think Jermaine Johnson and Michael Parsons are both going to have field days this game. So
I
this
think
could
Quinn
be.
and more. I think Quinn and more
You think Quinn Williams is going to have a better day than Jermaine Johnson?
against that interior. Yeah, I mean he's not going to be on Zach Martin's side. Hopefully not,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, so I like the under 39.5 points for just Cowboys. And then I agree with you. I'm taking the Giants minus 5.5 over the Arizona Cardinals. I mean,
Dude, like I'm just telling you straight up, Maddie. If they can't beat him by a touchdown, Maddie, the Giants have more serious issues.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know Saquon Barkley put on his Instagram saying we're gonna be all right. Are you?
Like I don't recommend usually the house, the kids, the family. Like the Giants, slam it. Slam it. I'm telling. Like, don't come back here next week if they lose because again, right? We just give you our honest opinions, right? But like if there is something that I am 99.9% confident, right, that the Giants should beat them by at least a touchdown, at least.
Well, the only thing scary about the Cardinals is that they almost put the Commanders away and almost eliminated you from your pick'em
Yeah,
league.
but Sam Howell is ugh.
All
That
right.
was just bad quarterbacks going at it. That was gross.
Yeah, it was an ugly game. Now for the pick I'm going to stay away from. I'm not touching the Chargers Titans game at all. Not the under and over 45, and I'm not touching the Chargers spread, which, by the way, for those of you who are wondering what the Charger Titans spread is, it's Chargers minus 3. Why am I not touching that spread? Because, yes, the Titans are not that great with Ryan Tannehill. I am going to say this, though. The Chargers could be flip-floppy. I mean, I know that you're going to say, well, this Titans team can't score. Yeah, so if you're going to bet the over on a team that can't score, versus a team that can score a lot of points. The Chargers are a good football team, but they're not 45 points good. They're 30 points good. And I don't trust the Titans scoring another 14 points. I really don't. I really don't. So there's that. I don't trust the spread because the Chargers defense could be really a pain to watch sometimes because there are weeks that they're good and then there are weeks that they're bad. So it's really up and down. So I'm not touching the Chargers Titan game at all. So that's my one game to stay away from. And now it's time for my favorite part of the whole show. Fantasy, football, fantasy, football, fantasy. Okay, so let's go over the results for week one. First off, Dennis Morelli, welcome.
Welcome to the league, buddy.
Welcome
Hey,
to the league,
Derek.
Dennis.
Hey, Derek, 45 points. Tyreek's the best player in the NFL, right? Still lost.
That's kind of amazing. Okay, so uh, I won against Anthony. By the way, for those of you who don't know what my team name is, it's the New
So
Jersey
lucky.
Heavy Hitters.
So
Not
lucky.
gonna not gonna say a reason why. I just like calling them. I have heavy expectations. That's why I call myself the Heavy Hitters. The New Jersey Heavy Hitters
Maddie likes to
beat
go. Maddie likes to go pound for pound with people.
you, jerk. Anyway, New Jersey Heavy Hitters, that's me, beat Anthony 129.7 to 121. Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, thank God I had that double dip, even though they didn't get a touchdown together. My backs did not really do great. James
Trash.
Conner got 12 points. Jameer Gibbs got 8. AJ Brown got me 15. Cole Kmet got me 9.5. Michael Thomas got me 11. And the Packer defense is good for me. They got me 14 points. And Tyler Bass got me 13 from kicking. And then Anthony, he fell short with Jalen Hurts. Hurts had just 16 points for him. He did get production from Christian McCaffrey and Garrett Wilson and Devontae Smith, but everything else was kind of eh. So I survived there. Brian Jr. beat Cobra Kai 131.76 to 113.64. His highlights were Trevor Lawrence and
Double dip,
also
baby.
the double dip and the Cowboy defense. My God, 35 points.
Ah.
35 points from the Cowboy defense, and then 24 points from Calvin Ridley, and then Graham Gano had 2 missed field goals, but other than that, it was all smiles and
Just wait,
rainbows
dude.
and
Just
fun.
wait for the day Nick Chubb gets in the end zone. If Nick Chubb doesn't want to rush for 101 yards but no touchdowns, be my guest, Nick Chubb.
Next up, we had Any Given Sunday, battered and buried for long term, but he still got the win over the Weary Traveler. Justin Herbert put up 25.5 points.
Hey,
Michael Pittman put
Herbo.
up close to 24. Travis Etienne got 21.5, and then also the Saints defense did really well, getting himself 12 points. Weary Traveler's double dip for the Giants was a double dump. It was not good. Daniel Jones and Darren Waller both got 6.5 points each. That's not good enough. And then next we had one giant leap making a move, 141 to
Making a
90.
big leap.
He made a big leap. And you want to know why? Because Tua Tagovailoa put up 36.5 points. And Austin Eckler put up 26.5. And Jason Sanders put up 14 points per kicker. That's actually really good. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown had 19 and Ramondre had 15. So overall, good day. Patrick Mahomes underperformed. I don't know why Rashad White and Cam Akers are Sunday Sauce's backs, but that's for me to know, and that's for
Because
him to know.
Ryan has 4 backs because you all are stupid.
Next up, we have Red.
4 backs, you idiots. I'm willing to trade if anybody ever wants to trade, but everybody's so boring. Who wants Brian Robinson? Who wants Tyler Algier? I'm willing to get on the phones. Nobody wants to trade though. Nobody wants to trade. You all disgusting.
Put that in the group chat. Anyway, Red Mama Behringer beat Team Carpentier in a slaughter, 106.44 to 60.72. Dallas Goddard fantasy owners. And even though Red Mama Behringer won, T. Higgins fantasy owners. But he got production from Deshaun Watson. He got production from DeAndre Hopkins, surprisingly. Tony Pollard scored 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones, who you didn't like, got close to 27 points for Red Mountain Bears. So that was a good performance all around, 106.44. And then, like I said, the highest scoring team in the league through week 1, Team Morelli, 142.86 to 119.76, a 23-point win for a rookie who has probably no idea what the heck he's doing. Justin Fields, 18.86, not really good. Dalvin Cook and Saquon Barkley got less points combined than Justin Fields. But Brandon Ayuk, 33 points. Zay Flowers, nearly 18 points. TJ Hawkinson, 11.5 points. St. Jets defense, 20 points. Jake Elliott, 18 points. And overall, that's how it pans out for the matchups. for week 1. But now for week 2, all 1-0s are facing each other. All 0-1s are facing each other. Now I'm going to get into the lesser known matchups before we get into the big meat and potato matchup. T. Morelli's got Rembrandt Bavanger. He's an 11-point underdog to Rembrandt Bavanger. They're both 1-0. And then we got the 0-1 Team Overtime. Derek versus Team Carpentieri. Close matchup, but Team Overtime projected to win by 2. Any given Sunday, one giant leap, both 1-0, and it's incredibly close. It's 50-50. 123.9 to 123.7. Then we have the Weary Traveler versus Sunday's Loss. 123.2 to 118.8 in favor of the Weary Traveler. Cobra Kai and Hingle McCrinkleberry. Love that name. 132.3 to 117.0. So Hingle McCrinkleberry's got a big 15-point gap as far as projection goes. Now,
I think I got to change my name though. I can't be on Ayahuasca Adventures anymore because Mr. Ayahuasca Man himself is now done for the year.
oh my God, I'd love to see what you change your name to.
If anybody does not know what ayahuasca is, it is psychedelics. So my team is basically the psychedelic Avengers.
All right, now for the main meat and potatoes. First place in the Jets fans division, plus Matt is on the line. New
That's
Jersey
a
Heavy Hitters versus to be determined.
No, I'm still Ayahuasca Adventures right now.
You're Ayahuasca Adventure still. You might have to change that name. You're a 2-point favorite. And for those of you who want to know who I have going this week,
Trash.
I got Kirk, I got Jahmyr Gibbs, I got James Conner, I got Justin Jefferson, I got A.J. Brown, I got Cole Kmet for now, I got Michael Thomas for now, I got the Green Bay defense, and I got Tyler Bass. You got Trevor, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs, Calvin Ridley, Deebo Samuel, Mark Andrews, Brian Robinson Jr., Dallas defense, and Graham Gano.
It may be George Pickens. We'll see.
Okay, so maybe a little bit of an update.
I swap out Brian Robinson for George Kittle. We got to see it. Not George Kittle. George Pickens. But we got to see. Because remember, Mr. Deontay Johnson is hurt. So, again, my genius drafting number 1 wide receiver, George Pickens. Number 1 wide receiver, Calvin Ridley. Number 2, do it all, Deebo Samuel. Number 1 running back, Josh Jacobs. Number 1 running back, Nick Chubb. Number one red zone running back, Tyler Algier. Number 1 running back, Brian Robinson Jr. I mean, Mark Andrews going to play this week. I won last week too, Maddie. But as I like you getting 1.4 points.
That's right.
Mark. Come on, Lamar. Throw the ball.
Now, for those of you who don't know, I played Ryan Jr. in week 2 of last year.
Stupid.
And I won in the most ridiculous of ways.
140 points for the loss.
You scored 140 and you lost. Because Adam Thielen decided to catch some garbage time points.
What Kirk Cousins does best, getting blown out, throwing checkdowns for the last fourth quarter. Doing Kirk Cousins things, stat padding. Disgusting. Kirk Cousins.
All I can say is, Ryan,
gross.
You got your work cut out for you this week.
We'll see. Who are my matchups going? Who are the Browns? The Browns got the Steelers. Who are the Ravens? Buffalo. Not good. Jets ran all over them. You got both the receivers going up against each other, Maddie. Looks like Justin Jefferson may be getting clapped by Darius Slay.
I hope not.
The Bengals can't defend tight ends.
True.
Seattle's got the beef in the middle. The Chiefs corners are terrible. Calvin about to have himself a field day. Then Brian Robinson against the Broncos. I don't know. I got to see Brian Robinson against the Broncos. George Pickens against the Browns. We got to see. I think that's where it's filthy though. So we got to see.
Okay, so there's a lot of changes, but at the end of this week,
or Tyler Algier, who got two tuds.
On your bench.
Who are they playing?
They're playing the
Packers. We'll see. I gotta do some brainstorming. We got to do some brainstorming, Maddie. I'll have a good grasp after tomorrow night after both your receivers get clamped.
We We will see. We will see.
Remember, everybody. Remember, everybody. The best shit talkers are the ones that talk shit now and then talk shit later. Just remember that. Even when karma gets you, got to keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. All right. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. All right. So. Anyway, at the end of this week, there will be 3-1 3 2-0s, 6 1-1s, and 3 0-2s. Remember,
High five for not being 0-2. Bang. Let's go.
Hey, listen. Okay, so anyway, just to rehash what's going on and what the season's going to be about. 14-week regular season. 6 people make the playoffs. 2 will get a bye. 3 rounds. And then 1 person ultimately holds the championship. So that's ultimately how it goes. That's the format for this league.
If you guys want to know more of the teams, go watch the draft episode down below. It'll be the most recent live stream before this one. So definitely go watch that. It was fun. There was a lot of emotion. Again, if you guys know us, if you know our family, we're very strong, opinionated individuals, all of us. So we all have our opinions on what other people do. We're all passionate. A lot of Giant fans, a lot of Jet fans. So we're passionate people. So we care a lot about this.
We really do. We really do.
Family bragging rights at the end of the year. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to. The money is cool, right? But like being at the end, especially Matty with that belt that's going to be hanging right up there for every episode, it's going to be nice.
We shall see. All right. So now it's time for our sponsors to conclude the show. We got the following: DAS Technology Consulting, simplifying technology. Valence Enterprises, building projects for success. Jag One Physical Therapy, official therapy provider for the teams you love. Grace Foundation of New York, support, empower, educate, enhance. Outback Steakhouse in Middletown, Aussie rules. Integrated Planning Group, client-focused, device-driven. And last but certainly not least, we got Rocco's Original Italian Ice, a sweet summertime treat all year around. So, this has been a lot of fun. So, before we go, I have a couple of really quick things to say. So, I'm going to make this really, really quick because we got to get going. I put up a call of me doing the championship point for Coco Gauff winning the U.S. Open. So for those of you who don't know or watch tennis, Coco Gauff, who was a 19-year-old woman from Delray Beach, Florida, won the U.S. Open this year, representing the United States. And she debuted in the 2019 Wimbledon tournament. She was 15. Everyone was talking about this girl. And I put up the call of me calling the final point of the game, of the match, rather. And the support was incredible. So I appreciate every single one of you who liked the call that I made, and it'll probably persuade me to probably do more brief little calls like that in the future. And I know that I'm not really the biggest tennis buff, but I've gotten into tennis a lot over the last couple of years. So again, I can't thank you guys.
You got a lot of free time, Matty. You can learn.
Yeah, I've learned a lot about tennis. But anyway, thank you for that. That's number one. Number two, if you want to follow us and find the content that I've been talking about, you can follow us on Instagram at Siriani Says Sports, on Facebook at Siriani Says Sports, on YouTube at Siriani Says Sports, and on Twitter at Siriani Says Sports, or Siriani Says Sports, rather. So, from Ryan Barrett Jr., I'm Matt Siriani. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to tonight's episode. We greatly appreciate you. Next Wednesday, Laura will be back. So that's going to be a whole new dynamic that we're going to get back. And Lauro is one of those guys that really, really, really.
Oh, Jets Patriots week 3. Oh, God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, should be interesting. So, Jets Patriots week 3. So that's going to be fun. But have a great day, everyone. Stay safe, stay humble, and of course, peace out.